Hiya. Um, I thought I would talk today just a little bit about how I got to where I am with regards to my mental health and like what that actually looks like for me at the moment. Um, so to start the story, I'm going to go right back to 2023. At the beginning of 2023, I quit drinking. Um, Drinking had been a problem for me for the last couple of years. I ended up having one night that was just bad enough to scare me off of it. So I quit drinking. 2 weeks later, I quit smoking cigarettes. I decided like I needed something else to do. Like I needed something to fill the void, to like work towards, to look forward to. And so I quit smoking cigarettes using hypnotherapy, clinical hypnotherapy. Um, and so I decided, okay, I'm going to become a therapist. I'm going to become a solution focused psychotherapist and a clinical hypnotherapist. And I signed up for the course literally 3 weeks after I had quit drinking, and like maybe 1 week after I had quit smoking. So like lots of changes in a very short amount of time. I then so I had quite a long time to wait for the course. I signed up in the February of 2023, and it didn't start until the September of that same year. So in the meantime, I thought that I am anxious and depressed. I was aware that I had like attachment issues and trauma, and yeah, just was pretty miserable, like day to day. So I thought in that break between signing up for the course and starting the course, I would have hypnotherapy to like try out the modality. Obviously, I'd used it for quitting smoking, but try it out the mental health side of it, and it worked like really, really well, really, really, really well. Um, so throughout the spring and the summer, I was having sessions. Um, so for the first time ever, I understood why my brain seemed to be like working against me. I understood the kind of feedback loop between the like survival mechanism, um, which kind of releases the cortisol and adrenaline, and the like thinking mind, and how those two things can just get stuck. Looking at the kind of problems, I guess. And I felt really happy, and I felt really like amazed, really. Like I didn't think I could feel that good. I didn't know that it was possible for me to be happy like that. And then in the summer of that year, I moved into a new flat with my partner, and I started the course. And things very quickly went downhill from there. So we moved into a property that was much smaller, um, much less like space between rooms and stuff. So you can kind of just you can hear everything from all the neighbours and each other all the time. Um, I was working full time, commuting an hour back to where we used to live, and then also doing a course which involved doing 5 sessions every week with clients, like practice sessions for free. And around that time, like a month after I started the course, I also had an operation, and I was just completely overwhelmed by how much there was to do. And my mind very quickly turned the kind of solution focused approach that I had used to get out of the depression in the first place. My mind really loved the game of looking for solutions, and so that's what it did all the time, like looking for improvements, for solutions, for actions that I could take, and I just ended up having this like overwhelming amount of stuff that I had given myself to do, and every single thing I did involved force, effort, self-coercion. I didn't want to do any of it. I wasn't enjoying the course at all. But I had committed to it, and I told everybody that this is what I was going to do, and I really wanted to get out of like working for other people, and so I felt like I just had to just grit my teeth and get through. And it kind of carried on much like this. The course lasted for a year, so I graduated in summer of 2024. And by that point, I was like so incredibly burnt out. I was engaging in like lots of addictive behaviours, and kind of giving up one thing and then picking up another thing, and then sometimes giving in and just doing whatever, and just like really self-soothing in really unhealthy ways. And then I kind of, I'm not going to go into all the hows and whys, but I basically quit my job in summer of 2024 with the view that I would be going, that I would be doing like temporary office admin work, which is what I do anyway, as I build up a client base for hypnotherapy. I hadn't yet admitted to myself that I didn't want to do it, that I wasn't enjoying it, and that I was kind of thought I was just like gritting my teeth getting through. That's kind of what life has been for me. And I ended up being out of work completely for 6 weeks, which is the longest time I've ever had off since I started working. And I ruined, not ruined because it wasn't, I'm not blaming myself for it, but you know, it wasn't 6 weeks of fun off work, it was 6 weeks of panicking because I had some savings, didn't have any income, I didn't know how to make the hypnotherapy work because I didn't really want to do it, but so it took a lot of effort for me to like actually take any action towards it, because it was like just so much force, just so much force. And I ended up taking a job close to home, so no commute, but in a very full-on, like loud, busy environment. And I was relieved because at least I can survive, right? And I carried on much the same, still self-soothing in the same ways, and like that kind of becoming scarier to me as time went on, like that I couldn't seem to get out of these cycles of using different things to self-soothe, and them inevitably making me feel worse, and then feeling like I needed them more, feeling like I just had no control over my behaviour. And to be clear, like, you know, I hadn't gone back to drinking. I think my behaviour was not that bad, but just that internal feeling of like, I don't know how I'm going to overcome this, because nothing I'm trying is working. And so summer 2024 I started the job. I'm still in the job now. And I'm still dealing with like cyclical periods of burnout where I will have a short period of time where I feel okay, I can start my life now. I can like do the things I want to do. Um, and then like shortly after, like burning out. So in like I think early 2025, a friend of mine was diagnosed with autism and said to me, I think that you should look into this because it also seems like you. And I looked into that. I looked at and ADHD, just like I guess neurodivergence in general, and kind of understood more of that. I'm not diagnosed. I don't really have any interest in being diagnosed, but more just understanding of like the fact that overstimulation exists that alone was very helpful for me to understand what was going on with me. But never it. I didn't really change any behaviour off the back of that. I suppose just like more aware of like my needs. And I spent like a year, I guess, like just doing quite a lot of intense learning about secure relationships, about my personal needs, about capitalism, and like how unsustainable it is for me personally, like to participate and have energy to be able to do anything else, and how inhumane it all is. And so yeah, I feel like we've come out of this period of understanding. As I said in my previous videos, I do feel like now I have a conceptual understanding of like why everything is the way that it is, and like what I need to do to get out of it. But I cannot escape this paradigm of like effort, force, and like life just feeling like this overwhelming thing that I'm drowning in, that I can't breathe, that I is happening to me. It's happening to me. Like I get up every day and I'm like, oh my god, what am I gonna do today to make myself feel better? How am I gonna get over this? How am I gonna overcome this depression, this anxiety, this burnout, this addiction, this insecure attachment, this trauma? It's just everything is like on top of me. And I don't know how to stop forcing. I feel like there should be a point to this video, but there really isn't. This is just the reality of where I'm at the moment. And as I've said in previous videos, like, so I feel like I'm missing something, right? I feel like I'm not conscious of something that would make this easier. That's how I'll word it. And I've been drawn more and more, particularly over the last year or so, to consciousness and spirituality as the possible thing that is the missing link. That the way I conceptualize it, so I have a good like conceptual understanding, I think, of what my personal beliefs are, um, which align with, you know, every religion and every spiritual teaching is kind of saying the same thing. And it just intuitively makes sense to me. It makes sense with everything that I've learned. Um, but I have no experience of like higher consciousness, or have no experience with religion or spirituality at all, apart from what I've learned myself over the last year or so. And I'm learning from somebody at the moment who was in a seemingly very similar situation as what I am in, and through meditation had an experience, I guess, of herself as life energy, the universe, God, whatever it is, and had like a 3 to 5 second experience, but just that experience was enough to like give her a different perspective on her life, and was able to just know how to solve the problems, and it seemed quite easy. And you know, obviously she still had to go through the beliefs that she had and let go of things and rewire the brain, and um like she still had to make the changes, but it just was not within this paradigm of force and of making the next best guess and not really knowing what you're doing and not really understanding. I feel like from my understanding, um, it kind of gave enough distance between her thoughts and emotions that she was very identified with, which I feel very much like, the pain in my body, dealing with chronic pain, unsurprising given all that anxiety and depression and trauma and blah 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 blah. Um, I've totally forgotten my point. Um, so yeah, it kind of seemingly gave her some distance between these intense feelings and thoughts, and allowed her to realise that she existed beyond those things. This body is a tool, this mind is a tool, um, and I want that. I want what she's having. I want to allow myself to see life in a different way like that. Um, and so that's where I'm at the moment. That's what I'm trying to do, I guess. And I hate even using the word trying here because it feels like the antithesis to what I'm actually wanting. Um, but I'm allowing, I'm letting go, I'm committing to the process of allowing and letting go. Um, and I feel a bit awkward about it, to be honest with you, because my upbringing was not religious or spiritual at all. It was kind of seen as like a people like lying to themselves, I guess, in order to cope with life. That's the kind of impression that I got, but it wasn't really like talked about, or it just wasn't a part of my household growing up. And where even as I'm saying this, my mind is like, yeah, you're just trying to cope with a situation that you can't cope with. So yeah, I'm interested to see what's going to happen next. yeah, thanks for listening to my ramble if you made it this far. If you want to see what happens, then I hope to see you again soon. I will be sharing my journey on here. Honestly, what's coming up for me, what's happening. Um, yeah, thanks for listening. Bye.